So in this case, I have to divide both sides by a -8. So x has to be equal to, what was that?
12.
12? Okay. Can I check it? How do I check to make sure that what I got was correct other than asking somebody else? How do I check it for myself? Nope, you don't check it by division. How would you check it? When you get x equals -12, how do I check it, Drew? Multiplication. Substitute the 12 in for the x. And what is -9 times 12?
-108.
If it's -108, you are correct. So we've done the check. 9x times 12 equals -108. It checks, all right? Number 2, x minus 3 equals -12. What is the value of x, Zoe? Zoe says x equals -9. How'd you get there, Zoe?
No.
Plus 3? Plus 3 to both sides? Is she correct so far, kiddos?
No.
Is she correct?
Yes.
Yeah. She sure is. Because if I go in and I say add opposite, I have to add 3 to both sides to create that 0 pair. And when in doubt, to make sure that she's correct, -9 plus -3 equals -12. It checked. Good job, Zoe. Number 3, x divided by 5 equals a -8. What is the value of x? Cooper. -40. Cooper said, and Cooper, how did you solve it?
I have like an easy way. All I do is just 8 times 5.
I don't want you to tell me the easy way. I want you to tell me how I should do it with the steps. Because you've got to know the steps. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So I multiply both sides by -5, don't I? So times 5 times 5, and I end up canceling those two out, and I end up with x equals -40. Just like Cooper said. Cooper, on easy ones, doing what you just did may work, but you're going to get to a point where they're not going to work for you. You got to know the steps. And if I want to check it, -40 divided by 5 equals -8. It checks. What about number 4? Somebody tell me. Raise your hand. What about number 4? X equals what? Caden.
X equals 1.84.
How do you know that, Caden?
You add 3.6 to both sides. You add 3.6. I'm wrong.
You are correct. -3.6 plus 3.6 creates the 0 pair. And 5, no, your answer is not right.
It's
Because 5 and 44/100 plus 3 6/10 should be what?
8.94.
8.94. 8 and 94/100. Is he correct now?
No.
I'm hearing no. No, I'm agreeing. He's not. Because 5 and 44, 3.6, well, there's my 4. Yeah, 6 and 4 is 10, isn't it?
No, I put 0.
It's 9 point. It is. I put 9.04.
Yeah, 9.04.
Yeah.
9 and 4/100.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you did not use your calculator, which is fine, but if you don't use the calculator, you better line up your decimals. Okay? Line up those decimals. Again, for the last one-step equation, x plus 1/2 equals 4 2/3. What is the value of x? Tanner, have you given me one yet?
No, and the answer is 4 1/6.
Why?
Because 4 2/3 minus 3/6 is that answer. Well, actually, it'd be 4, 6, 4, 4, 6, minus 3, 6.
Okay, because basically you added a negative 1/2, am I correct?
Kind of.
Mhm. That's the process. And then you had to have common denominators, right?
Yes.
And so that leads you down to a positive 4 and 1/6. Questions on this? We're talking one step. We're gonna move forward. They're gonna become more difficult. Your goal this week or today is that you will solve two-step equations. You will solve two-step equations. It is easy if you do the first step correct. One thing you need to look at when you're solving two-step equations, probably the first thing, if I wanted to think about any steps that I needed to remember, I would say step 1, simplify. Oh, simply. Basically, I'm talking about combining like terms. If I've got anything like that, that's what I want to start with. Okay, if I look at the first one, do I have any like terms that I need to combine? No. So then I want to look at step 2. The goal is to get x alone. I'm going to move the constant to the opposite side. Move the constant to the opposite side of the equation first. It's a two-step. That's the first thing that I've got to be able to do. So I want to get rid of the constant. So what do I do here, Gabriel?
I have a question.
Okay.
Don't you have to add opposite to make it?
Well, if it's a subtraction, I would. That's all a part of combining those like terms. But up here, I don't have a subtraction. Do you agree? Okay. Zane, what do I want to do?
You want to subtract or add negative 2 plus negative 5.
Okay. So I'm adding a negative 5 to both sides, which is creating that 0 pair. And I have 3x equals negative 3. Do we agree?
It's negative 3x.
Thank you. Okay, negative 3x equals negative 3. Then, for step 3, that's where I'm going to get my x alone. Okay. Check. Okay. So, in order to get x alone in this case, I have to use the inverse operation. And what's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide by what then? What do I divide by? Javen, what should I divide by? Yeah, I know. That's because that's my biggest goal. What do I divide negative 3x by to get the, what's the inverse? I'm going to divide by what? What kind of 3? Negative 3, good. Divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 cancels each other out, leaving x behind. And negative 3 divided by negative 3 equals 1. Okay? And then for step 4, I need to check it. I just need to substitute it in and see if it's right. Well, negative 3 times 1 plus 5, is it going to be equal to 2? Sure it is. Does it check? That's as far as I go. You undo by using PEMDAS, or the order of operations, backwards. Undo by using the order of operations backwards. If we look at what we did up here, on this one that we just did, PEMDAS would have said to use multiplication first, right? What's the last thing in PEMDAS? Addition or subtraction, whichever comes first. Well, there's addition there. I'm going to undo it with subtraction. Then I've got multiplication or division. I need to undo multiplication, so when I undid it, I get my variable of x. Okay? So if I think about it that way, let's look at this one. PEMDAS would tell you to do what? To multiply with the distributive property, right? I want to undo that. So instead of multiplying that 3 through, I'm going to divide out a 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3. I'm going to undo the distributive property. When I do that, 3 divided by 3 cancels each other out. Do we agree? Leaving behind x minus 4. What is 9 divided by 3?
3.
Now, undo subtraction.
Addition.
Plus 4, plus 4, x equals 7.
I followed through the multiplication.
Yeah, you can do the multiplication.
Do what?
If you did the distributive property, it would.
Okay, but this way I don't have to do the distributive property. But if I plug that 7 in, and I go up here and I say 3 times 7 minus 4 equals 9. Well, 3, what is 7 minus 4? 3. Does 9 equal 9? Have I checked? Is that easier for you? Even than having to simplify in the step 1 and then moving things around, is it easier just to go in and just get rid of that? Some say yes, some say no. Whichever works for you, that's really 2 different ways of doing it. And either way will work for you all the time. Okay? To solve a multiple step equation, use PEMDAS backwards. Okay? You do this one. Pardon? Okay. Always start with this one though. You're starting here, you have to start here. Okay? So you don't have to break the 0 there. You got it, to both sides. There you go. Sit up. Well, I did. I just didn't show it because I added right here. If that was opposite, is that going to be a plus 4 there? Okay. I agree. So keep going, you're on the right track. I've got 6th and 8th grade grades, but I didn't get 7th grade. Okay. Because I did all the vocab. It was like 11:30, I think, when I quit grading Friday. And then Sunday night, I couldn't remember what it was I didn't get graded.
It's almost like us when we're doing our homework.
I just got stuck.
You have stuff? What? Okay, I agree with that. And I agree with that. And I could simplify. Those are different sides of the equation, don't put them together. That's where you mess up. It's x over 8 equals that. Negative 6x. Can you simplify that? Okay. Now, instead of dividing by 8, multiply both sides by 8. So x equals what? Okay, let's look at it. I got kiddos stopped. Subtraction is add opposite, okay? I have a negative 1/2, my 0 pair, I have to add 1/2 to both sides. And it leaves me with x divided by 8 equals negative 6/2. Do you agree with me? Can I simplify negative 6/2?
Yeah.
Because that's actually negative 3, isn't it? So x over 8 equals negative 3. Do we agree? Instead of dividing by 8, I need to multiply both sides by 8. These two cancel. X equals negative 24. Now the question would be, am I correct? Negative 24 divided by 8 minus or plus a negative 1/2 equals negative 7/2. That's what I'm looking for. Negative 24 divided by 8 would give me a negative 3 plus negative 1/2. That is the same thing as a negative 3 1/2. Negative 7/2 equals negative 3 1/2, doesn't it? It checked. I'm done. Okay? Fist to 5. How do you feel? You maybe need some practice time. How do you feel about doing a two-step equation? I say multiple, it's only 2 steps. Okay? I think we need to have some practice time for it. And when we practice it, we're going to start off right there with the math journal. Do you have a question, sir? That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? Alice, did you have a question?
Oh, I didn't